Well, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I know that your time is very precious, so I do appreciate it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I really wanted to pick your brain, as you can imagine. Being a leader in this industry, it's an honour. I won't lie. Um, Also, I was looking at your Twitter this morning because I knew we were going to chat, so I was looking through Twitter and I saw you put a thread on, which is basically your history within the industry, which was a great morning read. A happy belated birthday, by the way. I saw that it was your birthday a couple of days ago, wasn't it?
Thanks.
But I think the first question I wanted to ask was how are you feeling about going into the last 12 months into semi-retirement? I know that was your goal by next year, wasn't it? How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, well, it's still on track, and ask me in 12 months because I'm just so busy all the time, and I have US clients, so I'm usually on calls in the evenings. So to actually semi-retire, will be a big life change.
I bet it will. I bet it will. Yeah. Are you working like late into the night? What's your schedule like? It must be crazy with having so many US.
My schedule is all over the place. So literally during the day, I usually work with UK clients. Then in the evening, I'm on calls and training calls with US clients.
Right, okay, I bet it can be exhausting but rewarding, I suppose.
No, I just love it.
Yeah, it's the grind, isn't it? When you get to a certain point, it's continuation, isn't it? I saw it was 2001 when you started in the industry, I suppose. And when I read that, I was born in 2001, so I was like, right, I'm talking to one of the most experienced people I could probably ever speak to about this, which is exciting. Um, but I think from your first sort of when you first started within business and creating businesses, how did that building era sort of I called it a building era. I don't know if you call it something else, but when you were going through and building those businesses and selling them, what was the first sort of thing that got you into sort of that space in that year? Was there something specific, or was it like just driven? This is what I want to do.
No, it's basically my history is a mechanic, an agricultural engineer.
Yeah,
Then I basically looked at my life and thought, well, because my daughter needed me for hospital appointments as and when required, I need to do something on my own.
yeah,
And chatting to my brother in law, he mentioned something about web hosting, and he worked for a big web hosting company. I'll give you this free web hosting. So I thought, what's that? And basically built a website and then thought, why is no one contacting me? What's this website for? So then it was working out how to
yeah,
actually get people to the website and contact me. And from there, I sort of started setting up website after website in different industries. Then it got to a point where I had this lead come in and say, well, can you come and build my wardrobe this Saturday? Because it was a flat pack builder website. And I
right,
thought,
yeah,
well, no, I don't do that. So I thought, well, other people do that job. So for me, I just created website to see what worked and what didn't and test things. Because back then there wasn't the vast arena of information you could go to. So I thought, well, I'll contact some flat pack builders and see if they want to buy the lead. And suddenly, within over a space of 3 to 5 years, I built up 120 websites and setting up and selling leads to the people that actually needed them. And that's how it sort of got into it. And it wasn't until I was doing it for 3 years I'd actually heard the word SEO. I was
yeah.
just doing
You were
this
doing it
thing
before
where
it
it
even
just
came
happened
around.
to be SEO.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you were one of the OGs in that sort of that space, because I see everywhere now people love doing. Well, yeah, it's one of the huge things, isn't it? Creating websites, ranking, getting leads, and selling them on. But you must
Yeah,
have
I
nearly
mean,
sort of
there wasn't any plan. If I'm totally honest, I just muddled through and see what worked.
well, yeah, that's how the best things do come to fruition, isn't it? Just seeing what works and then finding your thing. And I mean, you found 120 of those things, and they all turned out pretty well, it seems. Well, that's incredible. So it's like 3 years between the first one and realizing that this is a whole industry in itself, being online.
Yeah, I was reading, I can't remember what forum. I was reading a forum, and someone mentioned something about SEO, and I thought, what's this? And I started going into it, and then later on, Rand were doing his Whiteboard Fridays and, in Moz, and I sort of got into it and started deep dive into it, and I thought, oh, how can I do this but different to everyone else? So I've always looked for the opportunities instead of just doing what everyone else is doing. Yeah. And that's sort of how I've mixed the business side, the marketing, and the SEO all in together. So from my objective, it was never to get ranked in Google. My objective was to drive quality leads. Because if I didn't have the quality leads, I couldn't sell them.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a mind difference, isn't it? That's a thinking difference from what the status quo, I suppose, in the entire industry to basic principles to you. Are they the principles you stick to? It's how do I drive leads? How do I bring more business in, rather than looking too many steps forward, I suppose. Has that always been your sort of ethos with?
Yeah, I mean, I advise a lot of businesses over the years, and from your startups right up to your 9-figure companies. And my philosophy is always to work backwards, whereas SEOs work forwards. So the first thing I want to do is, where are you now, and what are the quality of the leads you've got coming in? Because I don't want to do all this work up front if the quality is not there. So I need to understand what the quality is and what the quality looks like and work backwards from there. And that's how I've always looked at it.
That's great. I mean, it's a from you saying it seems simple, but I think it's a great way to always have those principles in place for anyone. But I think you are right in terms of the SEOs do the opposite to that. Is that something you've seen across loads of different businesses, going in and seeing maybe what's been done or what other people's opinions are on X, Y, and Z, and just going, let's just look at what we have now rather than what we want? And it's that sort of
I mean, I've been into lots of business and agencies to train their marketing teams, and there's too much of a checklist mindset. We'll do this, this, and this, and they're so busy trying to create new things that they just need to take a step back, look at, well, instead of creating new things, how can we make what we've already got a lot better for us? What is that we've already got that's not working for us? We need to change. And I think once you sort that out first, then you can start moving forward to create new things, create new pages, build things.
Yeah, that's a great ethos. Do you think that that's something that you've taken into every walk of life, regardless, like you said, agency, in-house, anywhere, your own businesses? It's always, what have we got? What can we build on? But do you also use the sort of I suppose a process of eliminating and then identifying quite well with your intuition what can work, what we can build with, and what we need to strip away? Is that something that you look at in that way? Or?
I've just this knack of looking at something because I've run my own agency, I've built my own agency, I built a franchise network, so I understand. I've got an intuition of understanding what works and what doesn't, from working with many different clients in different industries. And it's a case of I can just spot something that can be just the smallest of things that people's overlooked. And that's the thing. But for me, it's not not telling people what they've overlooked. It's making them realise what they've overlooked, or else they won't make the same learnings moving forward.
Yeah, that's incredible. I can really sense the way that, I mean, your experience and the way that you communicate to people about those different things, what's good and what's bad. I think it's a really impactful way of doing things. Do you find that people have always been quite gracious to accept the criticism, the changes, and trying to make them realise, or has there ever been any times when you've gone in and someone's sort of completely rejected your sort of advice and experience? Or do you tend to disqualify those sorts of...
No, it's more of the way it's done. I don't go in and say, look, you're stupid, you need to change this, you've done all this wrong. There's no negative. It's like, okay, well, how can we make what you're already doing better? Let's look for the opportunities you may have missed due to being busy. It's the way of communicating things. And I think, has every single business implemented my advice? No. Basically, some businesses, once they've realised the workload it's required, they say, oh, well, we just don't have the time to do that. Okay, well, what time do you have? Instead of achieving this up here, let's reduce things and start climbing the ladder step by step. And it's just, for me, a lot of it's the way in which things are communicated in the industry, and a lot of people take out of context because there isn't that context in the communication.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think, I agree with you 100% on that communication is always the point that is worked on to make everything move completely smooth. Is that the one thing, or is there anything else that you could probably there has just been a consistent thing that people have just not given enough attention to within a business, within the marketing side of things? Is there a running theme with communication?
Yes,
and other things?
It is the internal communication. To be blunt, I've gone into business and said, okay, the SEO team's here, right? Have you talked to the sales team? Have you talked to the directors about the business objectives? Do you understand what the business objectives are? No. We're just writing blog posts and trying to get them ranked and build some links. So, but if you don't understand why you're doing these things, what the business objectives are, I said, why don't you just, I said, where's the sales team? And I'll walk in with them and say, what are the quality of the leads like? Oh, well, they've not been too good. We haven't, well, what questions do you usually get asked? And all this information is like pure gold dust. And I will walk into management and say, look, what are the objectives? What would make you jump up and down wanting to pop a bottle of champagne because it's been so good? What is it? Because it's often something that's different than the perception the marketing team have.
Yeah, that's a very... I think you're right completely there, because it is communication across the board, isn't it? And it is interesting to see that people haven't picked that up after so many years in certain businesses, isn't it? It's like, say, people are too busy or think like there's too many things there to not strip back. How did you I suppose, find not the confidence, but how did you develop your communication skills to be able to go into those businesses and put those pieces together? Was it something that you thought about consciously, or was it something that is just a natural thing to you? It's just your thing?
Well, nothing comes naturally. You have to work on it. And because I've run my own businesses, I have understood the business challenges that go with it. And I think how to communicate things. I have had to go into meetings and sell the services. and how to communicate. So it's something that I've built with time. Like I say, what is it, 23 years now I've been doing this. It's something that you work on, constantly work on as you move forward. And it is that way of making people understand without telling them. And I think that's the big thing. And I think the problem is this if I just put a checklist on and said, this is how to implement all these things, they're not really learning. They're not really understanding, well, how do I solve problems when they get thrown at me? What do I need to do? What questions do I need to ask? How do I ask those questions? What's important and all that? And I think a lot of SEO is in that sort of mindset where we've done these things and the graph's going up.
Yeah, and there's nothing more to it than that for a lot of SEO, is there? But there is so much more. It's everything within everything. I think I've written something down here that I wanted to touch on with you. I don't know if you would have been able to pinpoint it, but I saw that obviously you went from having all those businesses that you created through having those 120 websites, and then going to more of a agency side in-house role within those years. Was there a point through there that was there any mixed feelings? Was there any mixed? How did you feel about going from being a business owner, selling these businesses and creating more, to going to working for someone? Was that a quite big shift?
Oh, it was my own agency I created.
Oh, it was purely all your...
Yes. Basically,
So, yeah.
I sold all my lead generation websites and come up with this crazy idea in my head that I wanted to be an agency owner because lots of businesses were asking me, well, how can you do it for me, that kind of thing. And I got the office and it was all my own money. I ploughed every penny of my own money and started an agency. And at that time, I didn't really know how to run an agency. I just figured it out as I went along. So I didn't go from running my own business to working in an agency. It was my agency I built up and all the challenges that went on it and understanding how to recruit the right people, how to sell, how to run an agency properly, and how to manage it and grow it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, maybe I misunderstood, but that was it's very interesting way that you run into that. I suppose it makes the most sense in terms of people, the demand's there, and then you're going into that space. Did you? How long was the process of sort of building a team and managing the team? Was that something new to you, or is it building on that experience? Obviously, you had so much experience before being in the SEO industry, but going through into owning your own agency and having people do the deliverables. How was managing people on that side of things? I suppose, again, with communication, it was quite a thing to slip into, wasn't it? Was there any side swipes or anything that you found that was unexpected when running and managing?
Well, I am going to be 100% honest with you. Driving leads and selling was the easy bit to growing an agency.
Right.
Growing a team and managing a team to get the best out of it, managing all the challenges relating to that, is the hardest bit of running an agency. I mean, for me, like, I'd already spent 5 years driving new business for people. So that comes second nature to me. Selling is something that just came naturally.
Yeah.
So that wasn't an issue. But growing a team and working out, well, if I take on this new business that's been thrown at me, can I service it properly? Can the team? What happens to the team and nurturing the team and being able to really devote time into mentoring them properly? Because some people, you have to understand some people. Like, I'll say, well, what do you want to get out of this? Because some people just wanted to come in at 9 o'clock and go home at 5 o'clock, and that's it. They wasn't bothered about anything else. Other people wanted to grow within the industry. And once you understand what the personal objectives of the person is, then that's the benefit, because there's no point trying to build somebody up if they don't want to climb the ladder. Some people are just quite happy to come in and do the job and go home, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah. Did you have any issues with that difference within people not pulling their weight? But I know that things can get quite messy, so to speak, depending on what workplace it is. How did you find the people that weren't quite dedicated or weren't the people for you? Was it quite a difficult thing to do to speak to people in that way, or was it quite an easy thing for you because you knew what you wanted and you knew what other people wanted around you, and you built the team like that? Or was there anyone that was sort of no better way to say, more a bit of a twat within the the business? How did you find disqualifying that?
Yeah, well, for me, it was always a case of, okay, where do you want to be? Where do you want to grow? I will help you do that, but you have to put the effort in, right? So I will give you 110% of me and the devotion, but you have to put the effort in, right? Anybody that wanted to come into the office and just mess around and everything, it wasn't the right environment for them, right? Which I was very honest with people, and was the people that I employed who left, for one better word or another? Yes, because probably they didn't want to put the effort in they thought they wanted to, so they went elsewhere. But for me, again, it's just communication, and it is that sense of, okay, I will help you get to where you want to be, even if it's leaving us to go on to something else bigger. I will help you to achieve that, but you've got to put the effort in. And I think once you create an environment like that, suddenly I had a team who really wanted to do things. They like, message me on a Saturday morning. Oh, Mark, I've come up with this idea. What do you think? And I didn't say, oh, well, it's Saturday. Talk to me on Monday. If they're the problem, it might not be anything to do with work. A challenge that they had personally. Well, I were there for them. I've talked to them, and I think that rapport I built up with them. Now, the people that came in who didn't want to be there didn't stop long. Let's just say that.
Yeah. I can imagine that. I can imagine that you wouldn't have those people around at all. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and it's something that I'll take myself in terms of how communication, how building a team is done really with the best intentions and the best for everyone involved. I think a lot of what you've said there and a lot of what you said before is something I'll take in to 18 itself, and I'll go ahead and implement some of your teachings. I think very, very important for me and for everyone else, I think, to hear. I saw that you're doing obviously a lot of live events, and I've seen clips from there. Something I wanted to ask from more of a personal point of view is how did you, not how, because it's very difficult to describe that, but when you did your first live speaking event, how did you find the sort of confidence? Was it something that you were nervous about, or is it something that was you were looking forward to and it was something you wanted to put forward? Or did you kind of have those nerves, or was it pretty smooth?
Right. Every single speaking engagement I've done, there is always the butterflies 5 minutes before you walk on stage.
Right, that never
Right?
goes away.
It's not something you don't. It's there. It's built into most people.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I have a good way of adaptability.
Right.
And when I'm on stage, I can adapt to situations. I started off in local networking groups, just doing small speaking things. And I got offered a 4-figure sum to speak at a corporate event down London.
Right.
And I got on stage, and third slide in, realised they'd changed my slides. And I'm in front of this audience that was also being live streamed. They deleted some slides, added some, and changed some. And I think that gave me the confidence because I just went for it. So ever since then, I realised that the slides aren't there for the speaking. It's the speaking's for me. The slides are just there to represent what I'm saying.
Yeah. So that not having that crutch led you into the, okay, well, I'll speak then, and then that's it, isn't it? It's you speaking with your intention in your mind without having to look back every time.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, for me, it's about understanding the audience, understanding why they're there and what they want to get out of it. I did a speaking slot last week, and I didn't actually know what I was going to say. I had one holding slide.
Right.
And someone said, "Oh, have you one of the speakers? Oh, have you prepared?" No, I don't know what I'm going to say yet until I get up. And
Yeah.
but I mean, that's not for everybody. That's just me because I'm a bit weird.
No, I think it's great. I think I would do the same, to be honest. I think prepping too much can be too.
And I think
would
if
probably
you
lose
know
myself.
your subject inside out, then you can relate to any situation.
Yeah, yeah. I tend to go down analogies when I speak to whether it be clients or anyone. Really. So yeah, slides don't tend to allow that natural comparisons or analogies, does it? But yes, just speaking there and being like, yeah, if I make a mistake, so what? I'll just speak, and then obviously you get paid for that, which is something that is an incredible opportunity that I hope to have as well one day. But yeah, I would also like to come and see you speak live at some point. Are you doing any events soon? Is there anything in person that you're doing?
Well, usually the events I do are business events. So it's more of an internal corporate type events or a franchise. So I don't do many sort of where public can go to.
Yeah,
I don't.
You're not a Brighton SEO sort of.
No, it's not my audience.
Yeah.
I mean,
Speak to business.
I don't
SEO.
make money from other SEOs. I make money from businesses so I will speak at the places that my potential customers are going to be in the audience.
Yeah, I thought I saw that tweet that you put out, and I thought you were spot on with that, because it's so many times you see that people are getting interactions and building an audience that are the people similar to them in the industry. But like you say, having the customers in front of you is what you want, what everyone wants. But yeah, I think it was something that is easy to not follow as much, isn't it? I think for some people, they lean into their expertise, which they like speaking about, but like you say, speaking to SEOs, not clients or potential clients, you're going to hit a wall at some point, aren't you?
Whereas, yeah, I mean, last week it was a business event I spoke at, and I got 2 training gigs out of it and an advisory.
Right.
I got business out of it. So for me, it's going in and thinking about my speaker ROI.
That's an angle I didn't think of. Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, the speaker ROI.
Even if you speak for free, then you need to see the opportunity.
Yeah,
Speaking is like your business marketing package. It's part of the marketing package.
yeah,
And speaking can generate a lot of businesses, and it does for certain people.
yeah. I think. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a teaching and something to remember at all times. I don't want to keep you there too much longer, mate. I know that we had 30 minutes here. I have one final question for you. I'm not sure how much hands-on you do with SEO anymore, but I know that you'll be seeing pretty much as much and more than I do. But what in 2024 so far, there's been so much going on from with Google, AI, and then everything else in between. Has there been something that you've seen consistently that you look at, and it is either that's brilliant, that's something to look out for within the next 12 months, or that's something that is not good for either the world or just the industry in general? Is there anything that has really like just blown up that you would tell people to look out for this, whether it be good or bad?
Well, some people listening to this might want to shoot me for saying this, but the recent Google leak is suddenly lots of SEOs are now talking because of the leak about, oh, well, we need to build a brand. We need to look at the click-through rate. We need to look at the on-site engagement. We need to look at all these other things we haven't thought about before. Well, for me, I've always thought about them. It's nothing new because
Yeah,
you need to understand all them different things and how it impacts the business and what it is. And I think for me, that personally, there hasn't been a moment where I've thought, oh my God, what's on earth's going to happen? Yes, there's been changes. Yes, there's been updates, which has dramatically diminished exposure for some businesses. But it's being able to adapt to change. You know,
yeah,
is there are certain things that happen within the industry that is nobody's fault. It could be Google has changed the intent, which I have seen during the latest updates, where they used to rank lots of informational content, and now they've replaced that informational content with categories, product categories, service pages. So they've seen the intent differently. And you have to be able to adapt to that change. And you have to be able to communicate that change with businesses and clients.
yeah. I think you're spot on. I think you're spot on because everything that's crucial within SEO and marketing has always been there, hasn't it? And it's been just as important. It's just as important now as it was then, and has been. But like I say, it takes that change to be able to adapt to looking, well, from what you said at the start, looking back and going, right, okay, let's take care of these things before we keep surging forwards and shouting at Google on Twitter, which is pretty much what everyone does whenever anything
I
happens,
think
isn't it, really?
it stems back from the early days where my objective is always to drive quality leads for businesses. Or if it's an e-com, drive sales. And what do I need to do in order to drive them sales? I don't care if I've got 100,000 visitors to the site. I care about what percentage of those visitors are actually turning into new business.
Yeah.
And I have a saying that, you need to think about the pages you're creating and the content you're putting out, because if you're not careful, you will spend a lot of energy, time and money servicing your competitors' customers.
Right. That's a quote. That's a very, very good quote to take with us. But yeah, like I say, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but that was a great way to end it. And I'm sure Josh on our side will clip that up and I will write that on my wall, I think. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Mark. It's been a pleasure. I hope to do this again soon. I'm looking forward to watching it back. But yeah, I really hope to speak to you again soon, and I hope that you're still dabbling with fixing cars every now and then at the weekend.
Maybe not. That was back when you could actually fix an engine without having a computer tell you how to.
Without needing USBs, yeah. Well, maybe that's for semi-retirement, something to bring back. Well, thanks so much, Mark, and I will. I'll speak to you soon, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, you can click on the links on the screen now, or subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thanks again for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.